Little Commandos from an antique dealer, sent as a strange gift from a toy shop. When the man walked into the kitchen, the box of soldiers suddenly fell to the floor by itself. Curious and confused, he approached the box, yet none of the soldiers were there. Realizing something strange was happening, the man began searching the entire house for the missing soldiers. Suddenly, he felt a sharp pain, as if a nail had pierced his foot, and he froze in shock. Looking down, he discovered a tiny bayonet sticking out of his skin, glimmering like real steel. As he bent down to inspect the strange noises coming from under the sofa, a sudden swift attack struck him. Tiny soldiers entrenched on the sofa were firing at him with incredible force and precision. A small rocket struck his leg, sending waves of burning pain through his body. He staggered and crawled into the bathroom, desperately trying to protect himself. But the invasion in the living room continued at full speed, shaking the house. He dashed to the bedroom, grabbed the pistol from the bedside table, and stormed back into the living room. He narrowly dodged an incoming rocket that shattered the wall beside him. Bloodshot-eyed, he grabbed the hidden machine gun from the wardrobe and aimed with fury. In seconds, he emptied the first magazine into the sofa, tearing it apart. He ripped away the seat cushions and slammed in a second magazine with trembling hands. Bullets rained down on the soldiers hiding under the sofa like a deadly storm. The thunder of gunfire completely fueled his rage, echoing through the room. He stopped firing only to flip the entire couch upside down with a scream. The soldiers were crushed in chaos. Many were left wounded and scattered. The man stood there panting, unable to understand what was happening. Meanwhile, the tiny survivors gathered their wounded and regrouped for another attack. Just as one soldier aimed his weapon, the man stomped on him and crushed him mercilessly. His terrified comrade tried to escape, but couldn't get away from the furious man. The tension of battle rose sharply as combat helicopters launched their surprise attack. The tiny machines buzzed like flies, circling with sharp maneuvers and deadly firepower. Their relentless strikes managed to push the man back step by step. Under heavy fire, the man stumbled back and once again took refuge in the bathroom. A bullet from the helicopter ripped through his palm, making him scream in agony. Gritting his teeth, he wrapped his bleeding hand as the sounds outside the door grew louder and closer. Trying to make sense of the rising noise, the man froze as a rocket blasted the bathroom door. The door shattered, and tiny soldiers stormed through the hole with fierce screams. One of them swooped down from above, riding a tiny helicopter, guns blazing. Acting fast, the man snatched the helicopter midair with a towel and slammed it hard to the floor. He stomped furiously on the writhing towel and flushed the surviving soldiers down the toilet. But they were still alive, crawling back, and a cruel idea suddenly struck the man's mind. He grabbed the plugged-in hairdryer, aimed it at the soaked soldiers, and pulled the trigger. Sparks flew, electricity crackled, every soldier convulsed and fell silent. The victory short-circuited the house, blowing the electrical fuses into darkness. From under the door came a tiny note from the survivors, demanding his surrender. The man picked it up, laughed bitterly, and replied with furious curses. He stormed out of the bathroom, heading toward the rooftop to make his escape. But as he stepped onto the roof, a small surprise awaited him from above. A sudden ambush from a helicopter forced him to duck and roll to safety. Snarling, the man raised his gun and returned fire with wild determination. The tiny soldiers swarmed the entire house, closing in from every direction. Their numbers grew, surrounding him like an unstoppable army of insects. He grabbed a fire extinguisher and sprayed it in every direction to block their vision. Clouds of white mist filled the air, giving him a brief moment to strike. He pulled out insecticide, flicked his lighter, and set the mist ablaze in a burst of fire. A fiery wave engulfed the tiny army, shaking the walls and lighting the night sky. Screams echoed as their formation broke. Many fell and burned where they stood. The man charged through the chaos and ripped the legs off the last soldier he caught. Tossing the broken body aside, he watched it twitch and fall silent. Breathing heavily, he gathered every tiny corpse scattered around the house. He lined them up on the table, counting them one by one in silence. After making sure the number matched his collection, he nodded grimly. One by one, he tossed their tiny, lifeless bodies into the trash bin. Exhausted, bleeding, and starving, the man staggered toward the elevator to escape. But as the doors closed, a strange and unsettling silence filled the lift around.